What's up, wrestling fanatics? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, you just stumbled into the most jaw-dropping, mind-blending, absolutely insane wrestling story that I guarantee will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about loyalty, brotherhood, and betrayal in professional wrestling. Before we dive into this absolutely bonkers story that literally had me pacing around my room for 3 hours trying to process what I just witnessed, I need you to do me a huge favor. If this video blows your mind the same way it destroyed mine, smash that like button like Roman Reigns smashing through everyone's expectations. Hit that subscribe button because trust me, we're covering the wildest wrestling content on the entire platform, and absolutely obliterate that notification bell because what I'm about to break down is just the beginning of what might be the most shocking storyline in WWE history. So, here's what we're covering today, and buckle up, buttercups, because this is going to be a wild ride through conspiracy theories, international espionage, and betrayal so deep it makes Shakespeare look like a children's book. We're talking about Roman Reigns' impossible return from what everyone thought was career-ending injuries, Seth Rollins' shocking exposure as something far worse than anyone could have imagined, and revelations that will literally change how you view the Shield forever. Plus, I'm throwing in my theories about what this means for WWE going forward because honestly, after this bombshell, I have no idea what to expect anymore. Wrestling wildcards, they thought the tribal chief was finished forever, and I mean forever. They believed his body had been shattered beyond repair, like a broken action figure that got run over by a steamroller. And they told the world that Roman Reigns would never walk again, never step foot in a ring again, never look his enemies in the eye again because the systematic torture, the brutal sabotage, and what can only be described as international assassination attempts had left him broken, scarred, and trapped in what was basically a prison of medical equipment just to stay alive each day. And here's the kicker. WWE executives quietly started preparing for a future without him. Can you believe that? Wrestling journalists were writing obituaries for his career like he was already dead and buried, declaring the era of Roman Reigns officially over, done, finito. Even his old doctors, the people who are supposed to be the most optimistic about recovery, concluded that his career, his power, his very identity as a warrior was permanently destroyed. I mean, when your own medical team is basically writing you off, you know things looked pretty hopeless. But last night on Monday Night Raw, and I'm getting chills just thinking about this moment, in what can only be described as a moment that shook the entire wrestling world to its absolute core, Roman Reigns literally dragged himself from the shadows and onto the stage of history like some kind of vengeful spirit returning from the grave. Armed with nothing but a walking stick, unbearable pain that you could see etched on every line of his face, and pure unstoppable determination that would make a Navy SEAL look like a quitter, what unfolded before millions of eyes wasn't just a comeback. It was the most emotionally devastating, soul-crushing, reality-shattering confrontation in the history of professional wrestling. Because what he revealed about Seth Rollins, the man who was once considered his brother, his Shield brother, his ride-or-die partner through thick and thin, will forever change the meaning of betrayal, loyalty, and survival in ways that make Shakespeare look like a children's book. At exactly 10:23 p.m., and yes, I'm being specific about the time because this moment deserves to be remembered down to the second. While Seth Rollins was standing in the center of that ring like he owned the place, basking in the spotlight like a peacock showing off its feathers, bragging about how he has successfully eliminated Roman from existence, mocking the absence of the tribal chief like he was making fun of a dead man, and celebrating what he called the new era of WWE that would be built without Roman, the sound that changed absolutely everything cut through that arena like a knife through butter. The echo of a walking stick tapping against concrete, tap, 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 each strike growing louder like thunder rolling in during a storm, each echo ripping the crowd into the kind of stunned silence that you only hear when something biblical is about to happen. And then the camera showed him, scarred like a warrior who had been through hell and back, limping but very much alive, Roman Reigns, forcing his broken body to move one agonizing step at a time, looking like a man who had literally crawled back from the grave to settle unfinished business. And as he emerged from those shadows like something out of a horror movie, but in a good way, if that makes sense, everyone in that arena understood they were witnessing something that transcended wrestling, something that felt genuinely biblical. The impossible sight of someone who had been declared finished forever, returning to confront the man who had tried to end him permanently. Witnesses later described this moment with voices that were literally trembling with emotion, saying you could hear every single tap of that walking stick echoing through the arena, every groan of his body as he forced himself to move, every ounce of his willpower being channeled into each painful step as he dragged himself towards that ring. They said everyone in the arena felt like time itself had frozen, like the entire universe had stopped to watch this moment unfold. Because they weren't just watching a wrestler make a surprise return, they were watching a victim transform into an avenger in real time. A man who had been through actual hell and decided to drag hell back with him to share with the person who put him there in the first place. And when Roman finally reached ringside, leaning heavily on that walking stick like it was the only thing keeping him upright, his eyes burning through the arena smoke towards Seth with the intensity of laser beams, he wasn't just bringing himself back from the dead. Oh no, that would have been too simple. He was bringing evidence, undeniable documentation, audio recordings, video proof, the kind of damning information that no corporate cover-up, no international operative, and no amount of manipulative spin could ever erase or explain away. Roman looked Seth dead in the eyes, and I mean dead in the eyes, like he was staring into his soul, his voice steady as steel, his words slicing through the silence like a surgeon's scalpel, telling Seth that before he continued his little celebration party, maybe he should explain to all these people exactly what he thought he had accomplished. Because survival, Roman said, meant accountability, and brother, accountability was coming due with interest. And at that moment, Seth's smirk, that cocky, arrogant smirk that had been plastered across his face all night, collapsed faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. His eyes started darting around like a trapped animal looking for an escape route. His posture shook like he was standing in an earthquake because suddenly he realized that he wasn't looking at a ghost or a broken man. He was staring into the eyes of the man he thought was dead and buried, the man who now held proof of every crime, every betrayal, every secret meeting, every dirty deal. Roman declared with the kind of cold fury that could freeze fire that he had found recordings of every single conversation Seth had with international operatives. And yes, you heard that right. International operatives, like this was some kind of spy movie. Every plan to sabotage Roman's body, every scheme to weaponize his medical weaknesses, every backroom deal that was designed to destroy him from the inside out. And every report that Seth sent became another nail in the coffin of trust, another blueprint for assassination, another piece of the puzzle designed to destroy Roman completely. The attack in Paris that we all thought was random, it wasn't random at all. It was precision engineered using information that Seth himself had provided to these mysterious handlers. And all that gaslighting that Roman had endured, all those whispers that he was being paranoid or stressed out, all those people telling him he was imagining things, those were deliberate psychological warfare tactics designed to weaken his mind while Seth was secretly coordinating with people who were literally trying to end his life. The crowd sat in stunned horror, and I mean stunned horror, like they couldn't believe what they were hearing, as Roman's voice grew stronger and more powerful, revealing that Seth hadn't just betrayed his so-called brother for professional advancement. He had sold their brotherhood, their bond, their years of shared struggles and victories for cold hard cash, money, bonuses, international payments, and get this, a promised payout of $10 million if Roman was eliminated permanently. But that wasn't even the end of this nightmare because the most absolutely sickening revelation was yet to come. And I'm warning you right now, this is going to make your blood run cold. Roman revealed that the recordings he found showed Seth and his handlers discussing not just Roman's elimination, but the systematic destruction of his entire family. They were planning to stage so-called accidents for his wife and children to ensure that no one would survive to question the official story or seek revenge. When Roman looked directly at Seth and said those words, "You were planning to martyr my children," The entire arena erupted in gasps, sobs, and screams of horror. Because in that moment, everyone watching understood this wasn't just a story about professional rivalry or creative differences. This was a story about ultimate evil, about a level of betrayal so deep and so twisted that it defied human comprehension. Roman's stick trembled in his hand, but not from weakness, from pure, undiluted rage that was threatening to consume everything in its path. His voice carried through the arena like a thunderclap as he declared that while he might need that stick to stand, he was still strong enough to deliver justice in the most devastating way. And here's what made this even more chilling. Roman announced that justice would not come in the form of physical violence, because Seth didn't deserve the quick escape of a beating. No, Seth deserves something much worse: complete exposure, total humiliation, and the absolute destruction of everything he had built his entire career on. Roman stripped away every possible excuse, making it crystal clear that this wasn't about creative differences.